You spend every single day pretending to have your life completely together. But let's be real, inside, you feel completely empty. Millions of young men are waking up right now, staring at glowing screens, scrolling through an endless loop of highlight reels, and feeling an absolute suffocating void. You go to a dead-end job, you pay towering bills, and you come home to total silence. Your life feels like a simulation running on autopilot, right? It is a quiet, agonizing trap. But we're told this is just the cost of growing up. We're told to just work harder. Listen to me, that is a lie. This emptiness isn't random. It is a weaponized psychological collapse, and it is destroying this generation from the inside out. Your mind is revolting against you. You cannot outrun this shadow by scrolling faster, and you definitely can't cure a spiritual void with a better career path. You must deploy concrete psychological weapons immediately. You have to do this right now, before your soul splits completely in two. In this explainer, we're unpacking the exact tools from the source material to help you fight back. The system thrives on your weakness. You must arm your mind. Okay, let's dive straight into this survival arsenal. This is the only way out of the deadening boredom of the modern world. Number 1, shadow work. Number 2, active imagination. 3, demanding symbolic rites of passage. 4, hunting down your true vocation. And finally, number 5, building real community and mentorship. To survive this, you absolutely must master the first tool, which is shadow work. You need to keep a brutal journal. Once a week, write down 3 traits you absolutely despise in other people. Write them down clearly. Then, look at those traits and aggressively ask yourself, is this something inside me I am denying? When you notice a sudden, violent wave of anger or jealousy, stop. Force yourself to ask it again. This relentless confrontation is exactly how you shrink the unconscious shadow. It stops the monster from growing in the dark. Section 1. Carl Jung's Mental Architecture, the Blueprint of the Trap. So why do you need these weapons so desperately? What is actually hunting you? To understand this, we have to meticulously unpack the hidden architecture of your mind. Mapped by the legendary Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung over a century ago, this is the exact blueprint of your trap. Carl Jung discovered that human beings are fundamentally torn in half. On the outside, society forces you to wear a mask. Carl Jung called this the persona. It's that polished, cool, bulletproof image you project online, at college, or at your job. Imagine a 22-year-old college graduate. He works a corporate desk job just to survive crushing student debt. On LinkedIn, he projects total professional competence. He looks like he has it all together. But inside, he feels like a complete fraud. He's terrified of failing, paralyzed by the gap between who he pretends to be and who he actually is. And here is the brutal catch. The more energy you pour into protecting that fake professional mask, the more your true inner self starves to death. Now, what's really interesting about this is what actually happens to all that starved emotion. Because everything you shove down out of fear doesn't just magically disappear. Your raw anger, your deep insecurities, your secret shame, it goes straight into what Carl Jung named the shadow. It grows into a monstrously heavy collection of suppressed reality. Think of a young man who prides himself on being entirely logical and cold, suppressing every single ounce of vulnerability. His shadow is growing massive. Then, out of nowhere, a minor inconvenience happens. A friend makes a casual joke, or a stranger cuts him off in traffic, and he explodes into terrifying, uncontainable rage. He has no idea why he's screaming, but Carl Jung knows. That explosion is the shadow breaking through the floorboards of the conscious mind. And this brilliantly illustrates the human psyche, torn completely in half. On one side, you have the persona, the cool, logical, collected exterior mask. On the other side, the shadow, the monstrous, suppressed, explosive internal revolt. When you ignore your real self, your psyche doesn't just sit quietly in the corner, it revolts. Ignoring your true nature guarantees a violent internal rebellion. Your soul is essentially split in two. But Carl Jung found that the architecture goes even deeper. Way beyond the persona and the shadow lies the collective unconscious. This is a deep mind library of universal instincts. It's literally archetypal software inherited by all humans. These aren't your personal memories, guys. These are universal themes built straight into your biological hardware. Ancient myths, symbols, the hero's journey, the mother figure, night monsters. Carl Jung famously found that patients who had never even left their small remote villages were dreaming of the exact same ancient symbols found in cultures halfway across the planet. This framework shapes your entire existence, and it operates completely behind the scenes. Hidden deep inside this software are the anima and the animus. These are the unconscious inner gender souls. Carl Jung explained that every man carries an unconscious inner woman, the anima, and every woman carries an inner man, the animus. In modern culture, young men are fiercely conditioned to outright reject their anima. They reject their capacity for emotion, deep intuition, and raw care. And I have to warn you about what happens next. When a young man disowns his anima, his personal growth completely stalls out. He feels awkward expressing feelings. Dating becomes a painful one-sided projection, where he projects an idealized movie version image onto real partners. Life just becomes agonizingly disconnected. Now, at the absolute center of it all is the self. This is the ultimate archetype. It's the true center of the psyche and the ultimate source of meaning. It is not your ego. It is not your surface persona. It is a deeper, greater personality that constantly aims to make you whole. Carl Jung described the self as the archetype of orientation and meaning. Aligning with this deeper personality is the entire goal of Carl Jung's concept of individuation. In practice, this is that inner gut feeling about your life direction. When the self is strong, small events feel deeply meaningful. You sense an undeniable connection to something larger. Balancing every broken piece of your internal architecture is what aligns you with this self. Yet these crucial pieces are frequently hijacked by complexes. These are emotionally charged clusters of thoughts and feelings centered around a specific theme, hidden deep inside the personal unconscious. Take a mother complex, for example. It triggers intense anxiety or dependency when anything reminds a young man of his mother. Or consider a success complex, a constant paralyzing fear of failure stemming from old family expectations. These complexes hijack your reactions before you even realize what's happening. Carl Jung taught that true individuation involves uncovering and healing these hidden complexes. You have to realize that your terrifying stage fright actually stems from a single childhood embarrassment buried years ago. You must heal it to break its invisible power over you. Section 2. The weaponized modern cultural matrix. So the crucial point here is how modern culture acts as a weaponized amplifier for this psychological torture. Economic instability and crushing inflation force young men into desperate survival mode, cutting them off from any genuine sense of passion or higher calling. Meanwhile, social media algorithms actively hijack the persona. They trap you in a digital coliseum. Traditional rites of passage have been completely erased. Just look at the transition to adulthood. Naturally, it's guided by elders and communal trials. But in the modern digital coliseum, you are stranded in perpetual boyhood. Self-worth should be aligned with internal values and vocation. Instead, it's measured in likes, views, and superficial validation. Genuine connection requires deep intuition and authentic community. But today, you're performing for ghosts and drowning in tribal hostility. There are no clear boundaries, no elders to guide you into true adulthood. Millions are trapped in a quarter-life crisis, just drifting through a fog of existential boredom. And the terrifying reality is that the system absolutely loves this. I mean, think about it. Who benefits from millions of aimless, disconnected young men? A consumerist machine that thrives on insecurity. When people feel empty, they buy things to fill the hole. When people lack internal purpose, they become dangerously easy to manipulate, control, and pacify. Vulnerability is commercialized. The inner self is traded for digital obedience. The system wants you disconnected because an aimless populace is a compliant populace. Section 3. The terrifying, unresolved, final shift. Let's move to the next phase and see how this builds, because the danger doesn't stop at personal depression. When millions of individuals suppress their shadow selves, a collective shadow emerges on a global scale. We are escalating from personal depression to a global shadow of political extremism and cultural nihilism. Unlived lives curdle into collective poison. Leaders lose control because the populace is psychologically fracturing from within. This is the exact historical loop civilizations fall into when they sever the connection between the conscious mind and the deeper psyche. Phase 1. The widespread emotional numbness hardens into total cynicism. Empathy evaporates and human connection is replaced by tribal hostility. Phase 2. The suppressed shadow breaks free on a mass scale. Isolated personal despair turns into volatile social unrest. Unresolved internal conflicts manifest as external violence and societal collapse. Phase 3. The final dangerous shift. A generation completely detached from the self surrenders its autonomy entirely. They beg for external control in exchange for safety. This effectively seals the coffin on individual freedom. You are standing on the edge of this abyss right now. You are watching the collective shadow tear your society apart. So the question is, Are we already too far gone down this path? Or is the fracture still small enough to heal?